It was my husband's female best friend's turn for truth or dare, and she winked at me. Shinzan has a scar on his butt. I bit it. The private room fell deathly silent in an instant. My mind went completely blank. So that scar near his tailbone wasn't from a motorcycle accident after all. Seeing me stunned, she giggled and explained, "Oh, that, just a spur of the moment thing on your wedding night. Don't worry, it's purely a memento of brotherly affection, Tilda. If there was really something between us, I wouldn't have brought it up on your 3rd anniversary, would I?" The air fell silent. Shinzan raised the banana in his hand and shoved the whole thing into Ifei's mouth. "Eat this. All that talking won't choke you." Choking, Ifei rolled her eyes, then grinned and made a grab for Shinzan's pants. The whole group burst into laughter. Someone tried to smooth things over for me. "Don't take it to heart, sis. We're just used to cracking dirty jokes among us guys. Come on, let's get back to the game." This wasn't the first time. My fingers dug tightly into the glass, a sharp pain shooting through my fingertips. The beer bottle spun before my eyes and came to a stop. The crowd jeered and pointed at me. "Anlan, you lost. Truth or dare?" "Dare." I stood up calmly and walked briskly over to Ifei. I lifted her skirt and snapped a photo in one fluid motion. By the time she shrieked and tried to pull her skirt down, I'd already taken a dozen shots in rapid succession. Shinzan was the first to react, shoving me hard. "And Lan, are you out of your mind?" I laughed, raising my phone to face them. "I got Ifei to come down. How's that for a dare compared to kissing someone's ass?" Everyone exchanged glances, not daring to say a word. Laugh. Why has everyone stopped laughing? Not funny, as I said those words. A heavy feeling of anguish welled up in my chest. With a cold expression, Shinzan took off his jacket and tied it around Ifei's thigh. Ifei's eyes were rimmed with red as she clutched his arm and looked at me. "Sis-in-law, why do you have to take things so seriously? If you can't handle the game, then don't play." I laughed it off. "We're just playing truth or dare, aren't we? Why are you taking it so seriously?" "Anlan," for the 18th time, Shinzan yelled at me for Anlan's sake. "You've gone too far. Apologize to Feifei right now. I was the one who got offended, yet I was also the one in the wrong." I suddenly felt like the whole thing was utterly pointless. I grabbed my bag, stood up, and headed straight for the door. My wrist was seized in a sharp tug. Shinzan's face was livid. "It's our anniversary. All the guys are here. Do you really have to make such a scene?" "The guys again. Always the guys." I pulled my hand back. Smack, when the slap landed on Shinzan's face. Everyone was stunned. The atmosphere was tense. Ifei smirked, slung an arm over Shinzan's shoulder, and clapped a hand over his mouth. All right, that's enough. Stop talking." She smiled warmly. "Sis, Shinzan and I are just buddies. We've known each other since we were in diapers." With that, she gave Shinzan a shove toward me. "Hurry up and apologize. Then go home with your wife. If you stay any longer, she'll start suspecting every man here of having something going on with you." After saying that, she exchanged a look with the others and covered her mouth to stifle a giggle. Under Ifei's urging gaze, Shinzan's voice caught in his throat. "I'm sorry." Her heart clenched painfully once more. If he hadn't apologized, I think there might still have been room for reconciliation. I turned and strode out of the private room. Shinzan ended up chasing after me. Inside the carriage, he, who was usually a man of few words, chattered on incessantly. "Why do you always have it in for Anlan? What on earth did she do to you?" Chapter 2. "I got married. I didn't sell myself to you. Am I not even allowed to have a normal social life anymore? If there was ever anything real between me and Ifei, our kid would be old enough to run errands by now. Would you even be in the picture to make a scene?" The last taut string of composure snapped with a ping. "Yes, I know it's not my place," I finally snapped, my voice a raw shout. "But I've had enough of this too." All the emotions bottled up for far too long erupted completely in that moment. I looked out the window, fighting hard to hold back my tears. "Shinzan, you remember her period? You remember she doesn't eat cilantro? Every time we had a group dinner, you were like a damn servant, making sure to scald her bowl and chopsticks with boiling water over and over." My eyes burned, and the tears fell anyway. "But the one thing you couldn't remember was that I'm allergic to mangoes. You bought the mango cake *she loves for my birthday, and my allergic reaction nearly killed me in the hospital. Back when we were building the company, I was the one drinking with you until I was hospitalized." I was the one who mortgaged my parents' life savings to bail you out. So tell me, where was this brother of yours when you needed help? Right, now that you're the successful CEO, Shen. She shows up wearing the brother label, cozying up to you, and you're just loving the attention, aren't you? After letting it all out in one breath, I closed my eyes for a moment. Shenzhen, I want a divorce. In the silence, only my stifled sobs remained in the train car. I turned my head away. He was leaning quietly against the window, softly snoring from the drink. I sat alone until 3 in the morning, staring at the wedding photo on the coffee table. I dialed my lawyer's number. Sorry to bother you. Please draft a divorce agreement for me. Early the next morning, I was woken up by the clattering sounds coming from the bathroom. Shenzhen straightened his tie in the mirror, then looked down at his phone with a silly grin. A reminder on my phone notified me. Today is my birthday. Seeing I was awake, he walked over with a smile and pinched my cheek. Honey, sleep in a bit longer. I need to head out soon to check out the project at Gu Huai's campsite. He acted as if nothing had happened. It's the same thing every time. None of our issues ever get resolved. If I don't bring them up, he just plays dumb and lets it slide. I was just about to speak when he turned away, his fingers tapping intently on the screen. A knock sounded at the door. Shenzhen set down his phone and strode out. A powerful premonition compelled me to pick up his phone. The screen was lit up. A chat group named The Original Crew was still scrolling at a frantic pace. Princess Faye. I'm downstairs. Come greet your daddy. As if possessed, I started scrolling back. Each message pierced my heart like 1,000 needles. You're fighting over this asterisk. Anlan is so high maintenance. I never thought you two were a good match. It's been unbearable having an outsider mooching off us for 5 years. You'd be better off leaving her and getting together with Fei. If Fei sent a hug emoji, I got over it ages ago. Shenzhen said he's going to buy me an amazing campsite. Some people slave away their whole lives, but they still can't beat having a good friend like him. Shenzhen's reply followed right after. Living the good life thanks to your old man. Finally appreciating your dad now. More. Let's go have some fun first. It's settled. No bringing your significant others. Okay, you hear that, Zun? Fei said if you dare show up, she'll share a tent with you tonight to thank you properly. A wave of icy dread shot to the crown of his head, and his vision began to swim. How utterly ridiculous. Back then, Fei was the one who actively invited me into the group and even changed the group name to Fantastic 6+1. But then, they went and created another group behind my back. It's not like I haven't tried to fit in with them. Chapter 3. But in the world of these natives, I was ultimately an intrusive outsider who didn't belong. My hands were shaking, my heart was racing, fighting the urge to smash the phone. I took pictures to save the chat history. By the time Shenzhen came in, I had already put the phone back in its place. He picked up his phone, hesitating for a moment before speaking. Honey, these guys are acting like they've never been anywhere. They're insisting on tagging along. Just wait for me at home. Okay, I calmly picked up my bag. Gu Huai has been a close friend of mine for over a decade. I need to be involved in this project too. Shenzhen was taken aback and reached out to stop me. Look, you're not used to their way of doing things anyway. It's better if you don't come. It'll just be awkward for you. With that, he turned to leave. I reached out and grabbed his arm, looking him straight in the eye. It's my birthday today. I didn't say anything more. This was his last chance. The sound of Fei's frustrated stomping came from the doorway. Shenzhen instantly grew impatient, shrugging my hand off with a sharp jerk. Why are you acting like my mom, always with the same old routine? What's so great about celebrating a birthday anyway? The back of my hand slammed hard against the doorframe, and my heart ached just as sharply. TSK. Fei stood on her tiptoes and gave Shenzhen a light smack on the head. What did your old man teach you? You gotta be gentle with girls. I think a girl like Anlan, who's a bit high maintenance and petty, is just fine. You should count your blessings, son. Shenzhen scoffed. That's just how she is. She's always looking for trouble. Can't stand it when things are peaceful, ignoring me. He reached out to grab Fei by the waist. Who are you calling son? Show some respect. Fei giggled and spun in a circle. Whoa, I almost touched Dad. You pervert. Shenzhen's mouth turned down at the corners, and he simply reached out to touch it. Oh, really? The group of people walked away, laughing and joking. I stood rooted to the spot. feeling as if all the air had been sucked from the room, watching them disappear behind the elevator doors. I dialed Ji Huai's number. "I'll come find you at the campsite later." There was no small talk on the other end. Okay, having grown up with Ji Huai, I could easily tell the difference between a friendship with clear boundaries and something more. We dated for 2 years and have been married for 3. I want to see with my own eyes just how disgracefully my marriage to Shenzhen will end. The campsite was far from the city, and the early autumn mountain breeze was cool and pleasant. Beside the white tents, a group of young men and women erupted in cheers. Ji Huai found me a spot at the edge of the campsite and brought over a chair. Across an artificial lake, I saw a group of men surrounding Ifei, a woman in a tank top and hot pants. Blindfolded, groped around and then accurately lunged to hug Shenzhen. The crowd started jeering. "Brother Zun lost. Truth or dare, truth or dare." To be honest, Brother Zun, do you like Ifei? Ifei had her arm around Shenzhen's neck, scolding them with a laugh. "Oh, for goodness sake, will you guys give it a rest?" Someone enthusiastically egged them on. "Isn't it obvious? How about a dare instead? Fei already took a bite out of Zun's butt, why not give us an encore?" Amidst the raucous laughter, Ifei shot Shenzhen a sultry, sidelong glance. "Now that's an idea." No sooner had the words left her mouth than she actually reached for Shenzhen's belt. "Hey, cut it out." Shenzhen dodged with a laugh, his movements half-hearted. Suddenly, Ifei's foot slipped. Shenzhen immediately reached out to catch her, and the two of them tumbled down together onto the soft grass. In the commotion, the hem of Ifei's skirt was pulled up to her waist. Shenzhen held her firmly by the waist with one arm, while his other large hand rested possessively on her exposed thigh. Chapter 4. Their eyes met, and the air between them grew thick with unspoken tension. Neither of them showed any sign of letting go. The deafening chants of "be together" felt like knives plunging into my heart, tearing it to shreds. In that moment, I felt like a thief, covetously spying on someone else's happiness, from a dark corner. I watched my husband and another woman whispering intimately, their heads close together. Ji Huai beside me was already livid with rage. I reached out and stopped him just as he was about to charge forward. I picked up my phone and, with trembling hands, dialed Shenzhen's number. Through my blurred vision, I saw him pull out his phone, clearly annoyed by the sudden ringing. Once, twice, 3 times. He stared at the word wife flashing on the screen, but never answered. Ifei lay lazily on Shenzhen's chest and let out a contemptuous "H. Is your mother checking up on you again?" She quickly reached out, hit the end call button, and then tapped Shenzhen on the nose. "Don't ditch your friends for a date, or we're not brothers anymore." "No way." Shenzhen pulled her close, a smile playing on his lips. "What wife could ever be more important than your bros?" With a swift motion, he powered off his phone, tossed it aside, and rolled over with Ifei on the grass for another tumble. "Yeah, right, as if a wife could ever be more important than your brothers. What else is there for me to not understand?" A cold wind made me shiver all over as I pointed at the man and woman laughing and roughhousing. "Why, are there any surveillance cameras over there?" Ji Huai immediately caught my drift. "I'll have someone secure the footage right now." My heart felt like a gaping wound, bleeding profusely. "Shenzhen, if you've already made your choice, then there's only one outcome, your utter ruin." Not far away, a group of people finished roughhousing and gathered around to barbecue and drink. The more I drank, the more I talked. Ifei raised her bottle, seemingly lost in thought. It suddenly reminded me of the day Shenzhen got married. I was so heartbroken. I ran to the riverbank to drink and posted about it on my social media. And guess what happened? He came running out still in his groom's suit. We sat by the river like a pair of fools, watching the stars all night. Her voice caught in her throat. "I remember our wedding night. Shenzhen said there was an emergency, and I waited for him in our marriage bed all night. And that's not all. Later, I told him I didn't plan on getting married but wanted a child. Guess what this silly boy said?" Ifei paused on purpose, savoring everyone's urging, then burst out laughing. "He actually said to me, with the utmost seriousness, 'Fine, I'll be your sperm donor. If you're having a child, it's going to be mine.'" Amidst a chorus of astonished exclamations about his true loyalty, she gave Shenzhen a nudge. "Hey, if you're so loyal, what about Lan?" Shenzhen lowered his gaze, his tone casual and detached. "I've been giving her birth control pills all along. I don't plan on having children anyway. Holy shit, a cry of shock burst from Ji Huai's lips at the same time. How can you even stand that? The sunlight stung my eyes, and I just found it all so ridiculous. I kept laughing, and then the tears came. Can you believe it? He actually said he wanted us to be dinks. For 3 years, I tried to get pregnant countless times, but it never happened. I always thought there was something wrong with me, and he was so considerate, so tender when he told me, Lan, it's okay, let's just be dinks. We'll spend our whole lives together, just the two of us. You'll always be my treasure. So, I was the complete and utter joke all along. Ifei's laughter still echoed in my ears. Having a great brother is 10,000 times better than getting married. No need to turn into a drudge, and I get to reap all the benefits. TSK, what good karma did I accumulate in my past life? Chapter 5. Chapter 5. Enough. That's enough. I stood up, turned away from that sickeningly sweet scene, and left, after copying the surveillance footage. Ji Huai and I went to the law firm to submit the evidence, preparing for our final negotiation with Shenzhen. I had just stepped out of the law firm when I got a call from my police officer friend. He lived right next door to us, so we were quite familiar with each other. When he answered, there was a subtle, unreadable quality to his voice. Has Shenzhen been acting strange lately? A sense of foreboding washed over me. Brother Wang, just tell me straight. A girl was getting hit on at the campsite. The guy's remarks were a bit too forward, I guess, and Shenzhen just snapped. He went at the guy with a bottle. They took him to the station to sort it out. It's hard to explain. I'll just send you the security footage from the station. Soon, the WeChat notification chimed. My hands trembling, I tapped to open the video. In the footage, Ifei held Shenzhen, who was battered and bruised, weeping uncontrollably. Shenzhen, she said. There's something I've kept to myself for a long time, but I have to say it today. I like you. I really, really like you. If Anlan hadn't gotten in the way, I would have confessed to you first. As the words hung in the air, Shenzhen cupped her face and kissed her deeply, like a pair of star-crossed lovers. Having traversed mountains and rivers, they finally laid bare their hearts to each other, and I was the one who came between them. Tears fell in heavy drops onto my phone screen, and my hand trembled so badly I could barely hold it. Brother Wang's message came through next. After the mediation, they went to the hotel next door. I'm sending you the address. As the address arrived, a message from Shenzhen popped up on my phone at the same time. Honey, the project is a bit complicated. I won't be coming home tonight. Get some rest. Love you, Tilda. Seeing my knuckles turn white from how tightly I was clenching my fist, Ji Huai grew concerned. Lan, are you okay? Just say the word, and I'm there for you. Buddy, I wiped away my tears, and the last trace of warmth vanished from my eyes. Of course, it's to let everyone see what good buddies get up to in a hotel. Shenzhen values his reputation above all else, so I'll tear his mask off in front of everyone, in front of the hotel. I started a live stream, titling it, Just How Close Is My Husband with His Girl Bro? A handful of netizens trickled into the live stream, just more hearsay and speculation. Pure friendship is being stigmatized. The blogger is as petty as they come. Watching the barrage of doubts and mockery scroll by, I nodded with a smile. Yeah, even I, the streamer, think I overreacted. I even got into a fight with my husband's girl bro, so I specially bought her favorite molten lava cakes to go apologize to my husband's girl bro. After getting a replacement keycard using Shenzhen's ID number, I strode purposefully toward the room. I pushed the door open. On the disheveled bed, Shenzhen, bare-chested, was entangled with Ifei. I raised my phone with a smile. See, this is what just good buddies who are so close they share a bed look like. Shenzhen turned around in alarm, his gaze meeting my raised eyebrow. The barrage exploded instantly, and the live stream's viewer count skyrocketed like a rocket. Holy crap, they're really sleeping together. Censor that. My eyes, I'm gonna be sick. Some brotherhood, that is. A perfect match, a bitch and a dog. The color drained completely from Shenzhen's face. He bent down and snatched his clothes from the floor. He even remembered to grab a towel and toss it to Ifei. Every single movement was captured in plain view by the camera. I've grown accustomed to Shenzhen's claims of their innocence, and I've seen it all when it comes to Yifei's subtle or not so subtle displays of their brotherly affection. Chapter 6. And now, standing here, I watched their flustered movements as I walked towards them. step by step. You said you were just friends, that you wouldn't even get hard if she was standing naked in front of you. Shinzan, you've lied to me so cruelly. The commotion roused the hotel guests, who opened their doors one after another, forming a dense crowd several layers deep. Shinzan fastened his belt and stepped forward to pull me away. There are too many people watching. Let me explain when we get home. I sidestepped to avoid his touch and sneered. Explain what? We've hashed this topic to death at home, haven't we? Oh Tilda, don't tell me you and your girl bro were just looking at a glow-in-the-dark watch under the covers. The onlookers immediately rallied to my defense. Pants are already off and you're checking your watch. I bet you're just trying to get with your bro's girl. How shameless. What a scumbag and a tramp. Hearing the crowd's jeers, Ife's eyes instantly welled up with tears, which began to fall one after another. What right do you have to insult me? On what grounds? I stared her down. On the grounds that you're using the label of brotherhood to cover up your home wrecking. Today, in front of everyone, I'm going to tear off that mask of yours. I didn't waste any more words. I pulled up their chat screenshots right then and there, along with the surveillance footage from the campsite and the police station, and laid it all out for everyone to see. Take a good look, everyone. This is what they call a pure and innocent brotherly bond. At this point, what was there left for her to argue? She just snapped and yelled at me. That's right, I do like Shinzan. What are you gonna do about it? Honestly, if she had just been upfront about liking Shinzan when I first met him, I never would have dated Shinzan, let alone married him. Just when Shinzan and I were about to get married, she had to insert herself ambiguously between us. It makes me sick. Absolutely sickening. Having no valid argument, she just tugged at Shinzan's sleeve, wanting him to speak up for her. Shinzan, with all these people here today, it's the perfect time to make yourself clear. Who do you choose, her or me? Loving you only as your brother is already humiliating enough for me. Are you really going to stand by and let her insult me like this? Ife's tears made it seem as though she was the one being wronged. I watched the pained look in Shinzan's eyes, only for it to turn cold and hard when he shifted his gaze to me. Anlan, don't make a scene. He was clearly holding back, his brow furrowed deeply. Go home for now, I'll give you a full account of everything. It was as good as telling me. He still chose Ife. I knew this would happen before I even came, yet my heart still aches. Even if I caught them red-handed, in his eyes, I'm still the one causing trouble. I embarrassed his precious Ife. He said, you know, my patience has its limits. Mine isn't endless either. I replied, my voice calm, the last ripple of emotion within me finally settling. I looked at the smug glint in Ife's eyes and said with a laugh, congratulations. You no longer have to sneak around to be with Shinzan. You've won. But don't get too cocky. It was just trash I didn't want anymore. Over all these years, I've tried to convince myself, it's natural for friends to be close sometimes. Don't be overly sensitive or suspicious. But after repeatedly tolerating and giving in to no avail, I finally understood, using the label of just friends as a stalling tactic, dropping hints here and there, flirting now and then, using ambiguous language to play a dozen games on the borderline between love and friendship. Chapter 7. This kind of behavior is inherently underhanded, insincere, dishonorable, and utterly unappealing. A man's baser instincts meant Shinzan also relished the delicate thrill of juggling two women. To be honest, I have a certain grudging admiration for him. He managed to deceive the woman by his side while keeping the one in his heart content. One flaunts their love, while the other actually believes there is none. Tell me, who does he really love? But none of it matters anymore. I took the prepared divorce papers from my bag and slapped them against Shinzan's chest. Let's get a divorce. Shinzan stared at the divorce papers in disbelief, his face turning from red to pale. A divorce? And you want me to leave with nothing? We've fought so many times over the years, but I've never once brought up divorce. Panic seized him, and he tore the divorce papers to shreds. I won't agree to this. I never once thought about divorcing you. Anlan, think of everything we've been through together. You can't just decide to end it like this. He took a step closer, only to realize with a shock that my phone was live streaming. The live stream's view count skyrocketed to over 100,000. The barrage was unanimously calling him a scumbag. Some resourceful netizens even dug up his and Ife's information, flooding the screen with photoshopped, explicit bed photos turned into memes. Are you insane? You're live streaming. Shinzan's composure finally snapped, Furious, he reached out to snatch the phone. However, Gu Huai, who had been waiting outside the door, was faster. He swung his fist straight at Shenzhen's face. Get lost. Caught completely off guard, Shenzhen's head was knocked to the side by the blow, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. I pushed Gu Huai's protective hand aside and walked up to Shenzhen. Shenzhen, so you do know how hard our journey has been. Back when you wanted to start your business, my parents sold their house without a second thought to support you. A year later, when my mother passed away, I handled the funeral alone. Where were you when I was utterly heartbroken, crying my eyes out? It was only later, on Ife's social media, that I saw you, your face covered in cake, celebrating her birthday. I lost the mother I loved most, yet there you were, overjoyed, celebrating another woman's birthday, thinking of my mother. A lump of sorrow choked my chest, so heavy it felt like I could cough up blood. Later, my father persuaded me that the living must go on, so I worked until 3 a.m. every day, drank with clients until my stomach bled. That's how I built this company into what it is today. I tapped my finger against Shenzhen's chest, once, then again, so, I'm the one who struggled. Everything here rightfully belongs to me. I watched Shenzhen's face grow paler and paler, unable to speak. Ife's gaze darted back and forth between me and Gu Huai, and she let out a sharp cry. I get it now, you and this man set us up together, just to take Shenzhen's fortune for yourselves, you shameless. Before Ife could even finish her sentence, I raised my hand and slapped her to the ground. How did I set you up? Did I tell you to flirt under the guise of being just bros? Did I book the room, or did I take your pants off? Seeing Ife dazed from the blow, Shenzhen was furious, his gaze fixed intently on me and Gu Huai. Since you claim what we have isn't pure friendship, then what exactly is it when the two of you are together in the middle of the night? He spoke through gritted teeth, enunciating each word with deliberate force. Anlan, don't be such a hypocrite. Just then, a woman pushed through the crowd and spat right in Shenzhen's face. Pa! Stop smearing Anlan's name, you filthy-minded scum. You see dirt in everyone. The newcomer was none other than Gu Huai's girlfriend, Chen Ruyi. She immediately hooked her arm through Gu Huai's. Huai and I have been together for 2 years. I know better than anyone whether they've crossed any lines. Chapter 8. Chapter 8. I'm the one who brought him here today, to get justice for Anlan and wipe the floor with you shameless, cheating scumbags, seething with rage. She took off her high heel and hurled it straight at Ife. You filthy whore. That'll teach you. Ah, Ife screamed, and Shenzhen instinctively shielded her with his back from the flying high heel. And Lan, he turned to look at me. There's really no need for things to go this far. In the chaos, I dropped an ultimatum. Shenzhen, you'd better sign the papers like a good boy, then go live your pathetic life with your buddies, or else, you'll face the consequences. Ife glared at me and was about to shout, you think I'm scared of you? Anlan, you're the one who's going to regret this. Without Shenzhen, you're nothing. Chen Ruyi picked up the high heel, threatening to swing it at her face again, which made her flinch in fear. What a disgrace. I stepped out of the hotel. I leaned against the car window, staring blankly at the passing cityscape. It turns out that after a profound collapse of trust, a person really can become numb. The bitterness I used to chew over and swallow again and again now seemed so trivial in this moment. Anlan, what if Shenzhen refuses to get a divorce? Gu Huai asked, his voice tinged with indignation. He's a master at weighing the pros and cons, I said calmly. And I happen to hold the leverage that will force his hand. Shenzhen's scandal spread like wildfire online. The next day, I called an emergency shareholders meeting and announced Shenzhen's removal from the company. Someone must have tipped him off. Shenzhen arrived in a hurry. Just as I was about to call for a show of hands from the shareholders present, can a woman really hold up an entire company? Shenzhen interjected. His cold gaze swept over the room before settling on me. Anlan, stop this. If you keep pushing, you'll only end up embarrassing yourself. It would be better to just... No sooner had the words been spoken than the shareholders began raising their hands. I agree that Shenzhen should leave the company. I agree as well. Count me in. Shenzhen stared at them in disbelief. But every shareholder's gaze was resolute. We've all seen the dedication Director An has put in. Director Shen, the truth is, you can no longer carry the weight of this company. The motion passed without a shred of doubt. and Shenzhen was stripped of all his positions on the spot. Finally, he agreed to the divorce, but he refused to walk away with nothing. I pulled another document from my briefcase, slapped it against Shenzhen's chest, and leaned in close to his ear. Take a look. This is a complete list of evidence showing how you embezzled company funds to buy properties, vehicles, and luxury goods for Fei. The total comes to 13.96 million, Shenzhen. How many years do you think this will get you? His face instantly drained of all color. You've signed the divorce papers and are leaving with nothing. I'll give you 1 week to settle this debt. If not, I'll see you in court. Finally, he signed his name on the divorce agreement. I took the agreement with satisfaction and left without looking back. Leaving with nothing, Shenzhen lost everything in his name. But that embezzled money, he had to pay it back as soon as possible. The first people he thought of were the brothers he cherished so deeply. After all, in the old days, whenever they went out to have a good time, he was always the one picking up the tab. Whenever a brother asked to borrow money for a car or a house, he never hesitated to lend out hundreds of thousands, even millions. He first made a phone call. Hey, Changzi, I'm in a bit of a bind right now, a bit short on cash. You think you could pay back that million you owe me? There was a few seconds of silence on the other end of the line, followed by Changzi's hesitant voice. Brother Zun, it's not that I don't want to help you out. I really need to talk to my wife about this first. Chapter 9. Shenzhen was taken aback. Wife, where the hell did you get a wife? Changzi chuckled. That's right, I don't have a wife, so there's nothing to discuss. The call was then hung up on the other end. Undeterred, Shenzhen dialed again. Call after call was met with evasion, excuses, and even outright refusal. The very same brothers who once flocked around him, flattering him, freeloading off his generosity, and basking in his so-called brotherly affection, now avoided him like the plague. He hung up the last call. Shenzhen gazed at the leaden sky, feeling nothing but bitter irony, utterly dejected. He made his way to the villa he had bought for Fei. The moment the door opened and she saw it was him, Fei gasped with delight and threw herself into his arms, holding him tight. Does this mean we can get married now? It was the warmth of her embrace that finally made Shenzhen feel this was real. Fei, thank you. Thank you for always being on my side. His voice softened as he ventured to ask, Fei, would you really be willing to live any kind of life, as long as you're with me? Of course, Fei answered without a moment's hesitation. Shenzhen felt a slight easing in his heart. A small comfort. I've left with nothing. Anlan found out I was embezzling company funds to spend on you and is demanding I pay it back by a deadline. You need to hurry up and sell the house and car under your name to help me get through this crisis. Leave with nothing. Are you out of your mind? Fei pushed him away abruptly, her eyes filled with wariness. That house and car are mine. Why on earth should I sell them? Shenzhen was stunned. Fei, you said, what did I say? Fei dropped all pretense. Shenzhen, you don't actually think I'm with you for love, do you? Ha, don't be ridiculous. No money, no honey. She pointed a finger right at his face. I want the easy life. I'm not about to start from scratch with a broke nobody like you. Got it, now get lost. With that, she shoved him out the door. The door slammed shut with a bang. Staring at the cold, hard door, Shenzhen had never felt so powerless, right? Who would stick with a penniless nobody trying to build something from scratch? He used to think he had gotten through those tough times solely on the strength of his brother's support. But looking back now, my mind is filled with nothing but images of myself. I was out there chasing sales under the scorching sun, and facing difficult clients by downing drink after drink. I patted him on the shoulder and said, it's okay, honey, my mom said she'll sell the house to help us get through this. Who's the little cockroach that just won't die? We're like cockroaches, you just can't kill us. The echoes of laughter and joy still seemed to linger in the air, yet it all felt like a lifetime ago. He suddenly made up his mind and took off running toward home, but when he reached his doorstep, he found the locks had been changed and a for sale sign was posted on the door. I'm done with this family for good. After a week with no word from Shenzhen, I showed up at Fei's house as agreed, accompanied by law enforcement to recover the company's money. Just as I arrived at the entrance of Fei's villa, I ran into Shenzhen standing there, reeking of alcohol. Following his gaze, I saw a group of men and women gathered in the luxurious living room. Fei was nestled affectionately in the arms of a strange man. laughing with unrestrained delight. The home Shenzhen had once meticulously arranged for Ifei had now become a playground for reckless indulgence. Ifei, Shenzhen screamed as she charged inside. Seeing Shenzhen storm in, the smile on Ifei's face froze for an instant. "Who is he?" Shenzhen demanded angrily, pointing at the man. The next second, Ifei threw a contemptuous glance and slung her arm around the man's shoulder. "Just my good buddy Tilda. Karma always comes back around so swiftly." Shenzhen, who had always been blind and foolish, finally saw the light in that moment. "What a fine brother you are." He pulled out the knife he had hidden in his robes and plunged it into Ifei's stomach. Chaos erupted on the scene. Blood, screams, the sound of people fleeing. The staff beside me reacted swiftly, moving forward together to subdue Shenzhen. The wail of police sirens grew closer. Just before being forced into the car, Shenzhen struggled and shouted towards me. "I was wrong, Lan Lan. I don't want any more brothers. It was all a lie. I deceived you, and they deceived me. It's all my karma, my own doing." I didn't say a word, just turned and went inside to pack up the house. Ifei ultimately succumbed to her illness. I can't be bothered to care how many years Shenzhen was sentenced to. The money his brothers owed him is considered marital property. Since Shenzhen left with nothing, it naturally counts as my property. As for them being forced to sell their house and car, or even take out usurious loans, what does that have to do with me? After all, they're not my brothers. Story 2. On my birthday, my husband, Shin Jingchu, took our son to attend the celebration banquet of his junior schoolmate. When I signed the divorce agreement and was packing my things, I found my husband's old mobile phone in the corner. In the text message box, there were confession messages that Shin Jingchu, who was 17 years old at that time, sent to me, without hesitation. I pressed the delete button. Suddenly, a few words appeared out of thin air in the text message box. "Who are you? Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins." The words in the dialogue box kept increasing. "Why did you delete my confession message?" My pupils dilated suddenly, and I involuntarily dropped the phone in a state of shock. I quickly took out my own mobile phone and flipped back to the messages from 13 years ago. There lay a confession message from Shin Jingchu. I suppressed the panic in my heart, picked up the phone again, and asked him, "Who are you going to confess to?" "Tong Nian Nian." When I saw my own name, my heart trembled violently. Could the person on the other end of the phone be Shin Jingchu at the age of 17? The other side was still sending messages continuously. "Are you a human or a ghost? Why are you trying to stop me from confessing?" I came back to my senses and replied following his words, "You don't need to confess because, in the future, you will let her down." The other side paused for a moment and then replied firmly, "Impossible." Even though we were separated by the screen, I could already imagine the disdainful look on the young and impulsive Shin Jingchu's face. The 17-year-old Shin Jingchu loved sincerely and passionately. Naturally, he couldn't have imagined what he would be like at the age of 30. I moved my fingers, wanting to explain to him, but the door was suddenly pulled open. I calmly put the old mobile phone in my pocket and then continued packing my things. Shin Jingchu rushed into the room in a hurry and rummaged through the cabinets and drawers in the living room as soon as he came in. "Nian Nian, have you seen my small box?" "Nian Nian." Shin Jingchu called my name several times in a row, but I didn't respond to him. I just packed my luggage in silence. Finally, he opened the door of my room and happened to meet me who was about to go out. He was stunned for a moment first, and then frowned and asked me, "You're packing your things. Where are you going?" I lowered my eyes and handed him the divorce agreement in my hand. "Shin Jingchu, let's get a divorce." Shin Jingchu frowned even more tightly. "Is it because of Jiu Yuan?" "I've said it before. If there was really something between me and her, I would have divorced you long ago." I have heard the same words no less than 20 times. If I hadn't accidentally seen his mobile phone, I would never have found out that the person who had slept beside me for many years had been sending messages to that girl named Jiu Yuan every day since 5 years ago. They were the most compatible partners in the laboratory and also regular dining companions in the cafeteria. Everyone knew that they had a good relationship. Some people in the group even joked that Jiu Yuan was the little sister-in-law, and Shin Jingchu would respond with a smile. But when I questioned him, he frowned. "It's just a few jokes. Is it necessary to take it so seriously? I'm tired of hearing such words. Don't you like Jiu Yuan? After you sign the paper, You can pursue her openly. Tong Nian Nian. When did I say that I liked her? Shen Jingchu suddenly lost his temper and snatched the divorce agreement from me. And where can you go if you divorce me? You're already 30 years old, and your education level isn't high. You don't even have a postgraduate degree. Who would hire you in the workplace now? Where will you get the money to support yourself? His words were like a heavy hammer, hitting my heart hard. 8 years ago, Shen Jingchu and I applied for the postgraduate entrance examination together. However, that year, I accidentally got pregnant. The doctor said that my body was weak. If I had an abortion, it would be very difficult for me to get pregnant again in the future. Shen Jingchu really wanted this child and hoped that I could keep it. So, in that year's postgraduate entrance examination, only Shen Jingchu went. On the day he was admitted, he hugged me and kissed me for a long time. He said, "Nian Nian, I know that you gave up your future for our child. Don't worry, I'll earn money to support the family in the future and won't treat you and the child badly." My nose felt sour. I opened my mouth to refute him, but I was speechless. He tore the divorce agreement into pieces, and his angry expression gradually softened. "Nian Nian, today I'll consider what you said as nonsense. Don't mention it again in the future." He turned around and then looked back at me. "By the way, where is that box?" I lowered my eyes. "It's on the cabinet next to the TV." "Okay." He found that exquisite box on the cabinet. The moment he stepped out of the door, he paused again. "Stay at home. I'll come back as early as possible to celebrate your birthday." I smiled sarcastically. It turned out that he still remembered that today was my birthday. I noticed the small box he took away when I was cleaning the house yesterday. It was a jade necklace. Something I had always wanted but didn't have the heart to buy because it was too expensive. When I opened it, I was filled with joy, thinking that this was a birthday surprise from Shen Jingchu. He was finally going to please me. However, on the greeting card inside the box, the words to Jiu Yuan were written in black and white. After all, it was just my wishful thinking. His change of heart was also the reason why I was determined to get a divorce. The old mobile phone in my pocket vibrated with a ding. I took out the old mobile phone and found that it was a message sent to myself from the original number. "Forget it, it's already too late. I'll confess to her next year." I was stunned and instinctively clicked on the confession message that Shen Jingchu sent to me back then. The date below the message had actually changed from 13 years ago to 12 years ago. I was filled with astonishment. Could the 17-year-old Shen Jingchu change the present? Shen Jingchu was still sending me messages. This way, we don't have to compete for the dialogue box when sending messages, so please reply to me. Who exactly are you? My eyes dimmed. I'm a god and can predict the future. I'm a materialist and don't believe in gods or ghosts. I was choked by his words. Then his message came in. "But I can listen to your prophecy. What do you know?" If I told him, would it be possible to change that thing? I raised my hand and touched the scar on my face, wanting to try if it was really possible to change the past. The day after Nian Nian's birthday, she will be dragged to the corner by a group of gangsters and bullied. They will burn her face with cigarette butts. I sent the message, and the other side replied to me, "Okay, I'll pay attention." After the conversation ended, he didn't send any other messages. I put the phone away. It was already past midnight, and Shen Jingchu and our son still hadn't come back. If it were normal, I would be very worried and keep calling. I wouldn't go to bed until they came back. Now, I washed up quietly and went to bed. The next day, in the morning, the house was still empty. The father and son hadn't come back all night. My expression didn't change. When I was washing up, I saw that my skin in the mirror was as smooth as ever, without any burn scars. My pupils suddenly widened in shock. Suddenly, a brand new memory crowded into my mind. The day after my 17th birthday. I was still caught by a group of gangsters. However, when the gangsters were about to burn my face with cigarette butts, Shen Jingchu suddenly appeared and protected me. The past had really been changed. I laughed in disbelief, and tears rolled down my face. I quickly took out that old mobile phone from my pocket. On the new message, there was only a short sentence. "Thank you, I saved her." Without hesitation, I typed on the keyboard and asked the 17-year-old Shen Jingchu, "Then would you be willing to save Nian Nian one more time?" He immediately replied to me, "Is something going to happen again? What should I do?" "Don't confess, and stay away from her." Even through the screen, I could imagine the confused and skeptical look on the young man on the other side. "Why?" "Because after you get together, You will let her down in the future. The young man immediately refuted me. Impossible. I love Nian Nian very much. Nian Nian scraped her knee today, after class. I went to the grocery store and bought her different styles of band-aids. Nian Nian's deskmate, Pang Dun, threatened Nian Nian to do his homework for him. I directly tore up his homework. When she has a fever or a cold, or is slightly not feeling well, my heart aches so much. Even if there are so many gangsters like today, I will still rush up to protect her. I know very well that she is my life. I can't let her down. I looked at his words of argument one by one. And the beautiful memories of the past were gradually peeled away. The 17-year-old Shen Jingchu regarded me as the most precious treasure in his life. The 30-year-old Shen Jingchu, however, spoke to me harshly without mercy. At first, he said he would support me, but now, he said he was the one who had supported me. I lowered my eyes. People's hearts will always change. Then tell me, how will I let her down in the future? My fingers paused. Countless fragments emerged in my mind. But I didn't know where to start. At this moment, a call came in. After I answered it, the person on the other side said in a hurry, "Sister-in-law, Brother Shen is a bit drunk. Can you come and take him home? Your child is also here." The voice on the other side was very noisy, and I could vaguely hear the sound of things being broken. My heart panicked, and a sense of unease welled up in my heart. I rushed to the address sent by my junior fellow apprentice. On the way, Shen Jingchu's words "then tell me, how will I let her down in the future" kept lingering in my mind. Finally, I clicked on the phone screen and gently pressed the recording button. "Shen Jingchu, then listen carefully to the stupid things you did at the age of 30. When I stepped into the restaurant, I just saw Shen Jingchu hitting a fat man. The scene was in chaos. The tables and chairs were knocked askew, and the tableware was broken and scattered all over the floor. I was about to go up and pull Shen Jingchu away when his junior fellow apprentice quickly pulled me aside. "Sister-in-law, don't go there for now. What if you get accidentally injured?" I frowned. He never gets drunk and acts crazy. What happened? The junior fellow apprentice sighed. Just now, there were two rascals who insisted on asking Jiu Yuan to drink with them. Brother Shen got angry and started fighting. His voice stopped abruptly, and he looked at me with a guilty conscience. "Sister-in-law, I'm just talking nonsense. Don't be angry. The 17-year-old Shen Jingchu would only fight for me. But the 30-year-old him fought for someone else. I didn't care. But when I looked at Shen Jingchu again, my pupils suddenly shrank. I didn't know when my 5-year-old son had come to Shen Jingchu's side and also stretched out his small fist and punched the fat man's thigh. "I'll beat you up. How dare you bully Sister Jiu?" The fat man was so angry that he grabbed a beer bottle next to him and was about to smash it on my son's head. No, almost out of a mother's reflex, I rushed up in 2 or 3 steps. At the critical moment, I pulled my son tightly into my arms. The falling beer bottle hit my back and shattered into pieces. Blood seeped out from my back. Even a slight movement caused a tearing pain. I groaned in pain, but someone in the crowd shouted, "Oh no, Jiu Yuan fainted." What? Shen Jingchu kicked the fat man to the ground and, as if he didn't see me, immediately turned around and squeezed into the crowd. "Jiu Yuan, Jiu Yuan, wake up quickly." Jiu Yuan was in his arms and showed no sign of waking up. Someone explained. Jiu Yuan was originally going to pick up the child just now. I guess she was scared unconscious by the flying fragments. Shen Jingchu looked worried and carried Jiu Yuan and rushed out. My son looked at me in surprise. "Mom, did you come to take me home?" Then, he struggled to break free from my arms and ran in the direction of Shen Jingchu. "Dad, wait for me. I want to take care of Sister Jiu too." My face turned pale. Looking at the father and son walking further and further away, my heart felt cold. I thought that even if Shen Jingchu and my son favored others, they would still care about me to some extent. I didn't expect that they didn't care at all. It's really ridiculous. Even if he's no longer my lover, he's still a family member on the same household registration book. I forced myself to stand up, and the junior fellow apprentice immediately surrounded me. "Sister-in-law, how are you? Just now I saw you block that wine bottle." He quickly stepped forward to pull me and suddenly exclaimed, "You're seriously injured. Your back is covered in blood. Brother Shen is really too much. Didn't he see that you were injured? Jiu Yuan wasn't even injured. What's the hurry for him?" My junior fellow apprentice sent me to the hospital. I didn't go home until my wounds were cleaned. As expected, Shinjingchu and my son didn't come back. I sent the recording just now to the 17-year-old Shinjingchu. After a while, he suddenly asked me, "You're the future Nian Nian, right?" My fingers trembled, and I didn't deny it. The 17-year-old Shinjingchu asked me, "Before, you told me that in the future, I would speak harshly to Nian Nian. These actually aren't prophecies, but things that you have already experienced once, right?" I smiled self-deprecatingly. "Yes, Nian Nian, the future me has let you down, so you begged me to stay away from you, right?" "Yes." Shinjingchu was silent for a long time and finally asked me, "Nian Nian, do you regret marrying me, right?" I replied to him, "Yes, I regret it." "Okay, I understand." After these words, he didn't send another message. My chest seemed to be pressed down by a huge stone, bringing a suffocating pain. I don't know how the 17-year-old Shinjingchu will decide, but at the moment, I should always plan another way out for myself. I don't want to stay by Shinjingchu's side anymore. I don't want my husband or my son anymore. I took off my pajamas that were stained with blood on the back and changed into a clean set of clothes. I picked up the packed suitcase and reprinted a copy of the divorce agreement from the photocopier. After signing it, the door was opened at this moment. Shinjingchu, with our son, dragged his tired body and entered the house. When he saw me holding the suitcase, he immediately flew into a rage. "Nian Nian, you're already 30 years old. Can you stop doing such childish things as running away from home?" When he saw the divorce agreement on the table, he sneered at me. "You printed another copy. Do you really want to leave me that much?" My expression remained the same. "I'm serious, Shinjingchu. I don't love you anymore. I can't go on living with you. Let's get a divorce." Shinjingchu stared at me intently. In the end, he laughed out of anger and humiliation. "Then I'll tell you, getting a divorce is impossible in this lifetime." He picked up the divorce agreement and made a move as if he was going to tear it up again. I immediately rushed forward to try to take it back. Unexpectedly, my body actually passed through Shinjingchu, and I pounced on empty air. I supported the table in disbelief. At this moment, my mind seemed to be about to explode, and a pile of brand new memories crowded in. The 18-year-old Shinjingchu rejected my confession. Shinjingchu once told me that he liked to put two important days on the same day, such as our love anniversary and my birthday. However, on my 18th birthday, I didn't wait for Shinjingchu's confession, seeing that after graduation, the intersection between me and him was getting less and less. I took the initiative to express my feelings to Shinjingchu. To my surprise, Shinjingchu not only rejected my confession but also filled in a university that was completely different from mine for his college application. He made his attitude clear. No matter how much I asked him at that time or how much I cried and begged him to tell me the reason, he kept his mouth shut. At that time, I didn't know the reason, but Shinjingchu's cliff-like change in attitude became a demon in my heart. Later, during my college years, there were many suitors who showed their affection to me, but I never accepted anyone's pursuit. Until I graduated from college, I took the postgraduate entrance examination alone, climbed up step by step, and finally became a university teacher at my alma mater. The two sets of memories were intertwined in my mind. It was not until I felt the warmth on my shoulder that I was suddenly pulled back from the memories. I came back to my senses. And the person beside me asked me softly, "Ms. Are you okay? Did your hypoglycemia attack?" As she spoke, she took out a piece of candy from her pocket and stuffed it into my hand. When I heard the address of teacher, my heart trembled violently. "It's true, it's all true, everything has changed. Ms. Are you still feeling okay? Do you need me to take you to the infirmary?" I quickly shook my head. "No, I'm fine. Thank you for the candy." The student Jiang Nian quickly waved her hand. "You don't need to be polite to me. The relevant details of the afternoon exchange meeting have been sent to the group. Remember to check the group announcement and prepare the relevant materials." Jiang Nian said as she walked forward. "I have something else to do, so I'll leave first. If you have anything, feel free to send me a message." After Jiang Nian left, I took out my phone and first flipped through the text messages. I found that the confession message sent to me by Shinjingchu 12 years ago was indeed gone. I finally let out a sigh of relief. Then I clicked on the group chat and briefly scanned the pinned group announcement. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw that my personal note was Professor Nian Nian from the Department of Biology, University. I was a bit dazed. Before I married Shinjingchu, My goal of taking the postgraduate entrance examination was also to become a university professor. It's a pity that I got pregnant accidentally later. Forget it, it's all in the past. There's no need to keep recalling it. My eyes dimmed. I quickly put away my phone and walked back to the office to start preparing the materials. Until the afternoon, I entered the exchange meeting room on time. The 2 students accompanying me had already taken their seats and waved at me with smiles on their faces. I smiled back and finally sat down beside the 2 of them. After the meeting started, I unexpectedly saw 2 familiar people. Jiu Yuan attended the speech as a representative of her alma mater, and the person standing beside her was Shen Jingqiu. Shen Jingqiu and Jiu Yuan cooperated as tacitly as ever. I sat in the audience, looking at them intently. Jiang Nian beside me sighed and said, "I heard that Miss Jiu is teacher Shen's junior schoolmate. This is the first time she has appeared at the exchange meeting. She is as excellent as teacher Shen." I didn't answer. The girl next to Jiang Nian clicked her tongue a few times. I heard that these 2 are also in a romantic relationship. No wonder they cooperate so tacitly. When I heard that he was in a relationship with Jiu Yuan, I wasn't very surprised. After all, the 18-year-old Shen Jingqiu didn't choose me. It was also expected that he would be with Jiu Yuan at the age of 30. Shen Jingqiu looked relaxed on the stage, and his movements were natural. Suddenly, for a moment, his eyes met mine, and then his voice trembled imperceptibly. I frowned slightly and then returned to normal. As expected, Shen Jingqiu and Jiu Yuan's speech received a round of applause. I clapped along with the others. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw that Shen Jingqiu and Jiu Yuan sat in the second row. My position just allowed me to see his profile. I saw Shen Jingqiu unscrew a bottle of water attentively and hand it to Jiu Yuan. Jiu Yuan looked at him with a sweet smile on her face. I calmly withdrew my gaze and put my attention back on the stage. After the exchange meeting ended, I left with the 2 students. We chose an exit with few people. As soon as we stepped out of the meeting room, my arm was suddenly grabbed. I turned around and just met Shen Jingqiu's forbearing gaze. "I need to talk to you about something." After saying hello to the students, I was pulled by Shen Jingqiu and walked a long way in the opposite direction, until we reached a deserted corner. I couldn't bear it anymore and shook him off. "If you have something to say, just say it here." Shen Jingqiu looked at me with cold eyes. "I'm asking you, what's going on now? Why did I suddenly move from home to the laboratory?" My heart trembled violently. I suppressed the shock and panic in my heart and pretended to be calm as I said, "What are you talking about? I don't understand." Shen Jingqiu's eyes dimmed. "What exactly happened between us 12 years ago?" I raised my eyebrows slightly and asked him back, 12 years ago, you not only rejected my confession but also deliberately filled in a different university from mine. Have you forgotten?" Shen Jingqiu stared at me intently, as if he wanted to find some flaws on my face. He did remember that there seemed to be such a thing, but he clearly remembered that he had already married Nian Nian, and Nian Nian had even given birth to a son for him. But when he came to his senses, he found himself standing in the laboratory. When he mentioned the things he had just experienced, everyone looked at him as if they had seen a ghost and said that he had never been married, let alone have a child. Thinking of this, Shen Jingqiu tentatively asked me, "Then do you still remember our 2 children?" I pretended to be surprised and opened my mouth wide. "How can you say such things? If Miss Jiu hears this, it will be terrible." Shen Jingqiu's face darkened, and he said coldly, "I've said it before, there's no improper relationship between me and Jiu Yuan." Speaking of Jiu Yuan, she didn't know what was wrong with her today. During the speech, her eyes were glued to him. After getting off the stage, she even asked him to unscrew the bottle cap in a coquettish voice. This way of getting along was just like that of a couple in love, making him feel uncomfortable all over. I looked at Shen Jingqiu in front of me. That cold expression was exactly the same as the 30-year-old him. If it were the 18-year-old Shen Jingqiu, I would still feel a little guilty. After all, he did help me a lot at that time. But the person in front of me was clearly still the 30-year-old Shen Jingqiu, so naturally, I didn't even have the slightest bit of remaining guilt in my heart. I still have some records to file. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first. After saying that, I turned around and left without looking back. Behind me, Shen Jingqiu reached out to grab me, but I had already walked a short distance, and he grabbed nothing. After graduating, Shun Jingchu and I both stayed to work at our respective alma maters. Although we were in the same city, we didn't have many opportunities to contact each other on weekdays. At least in the past few years of my work, my impression of Shun Jingchu was mostly just a passing glance at various meetings. Looking at the large pile of materials that needed to be reviewed in front of me, I sighed helplessly. The result of the professional title evaluation just came out today. The good news was that I was promoted, and the bad news was that I became even busier. Fortunately, I had all the memories of taking the postgraduate entrance examination and working. Otherwise, I would have to start learning all kinds of knowledge from scratch. I grabbed my hair and buried myself in my work. Such peaceful days passed for 2 days. I had successfully adapted to the identity of a university professor and handled my work in an orderly manner. Suddenly, one day, I took a break from my busy work and chatted with the students. 2 little girls pulled me and talked to me about the gossip of the school teachers. Suddenly, Jiang Nian mentioned that familiar name. "Do you still remember Miss Gu, the one at the last exchange meeting?" Another girl quickly nodded. "Yes, I remember. What happened to her?" Miss Gu confessed to Shun Jingchu, but he rejected her. The girl covered her mouth in surprise. "I thought the 2 of them were already together." Jiang Nian pursed her lips and smiled. "Not at all. It's just that they were so affectionate that everyone thought they were a couple." The girl let out a long O sound. "Then why did Teacher Shun reject Miss Gu? I heard that he treats Miss Gu very well. He should also like her, right?" Jiang Nian smiled mysteriously. "I don't know about that, but I heard something." Before, Teacher Shun was distracted when observing an experiment. When he came to his senses, he started telling everyone that he was married and that he had a son this big. Jiang Nian said as she gestured with her hands, so everyone guessed that he was probably crazy from doing experiments. I raised my eyebrows. "Is it that exaggerated? Is it true or false?" Jiang Nian quickly replied to me, "It's absolutely true. My friend is an intern in that laboratory." And she saw it with her own eyes. Jiang Nian suddenly stopped speaking. Her eyes shifted guiltily to behind me. "Hello, Teacher Shun." I was stunned and turned around to see that Shun Jingchu had come behind me at some point and nodded gently at me. "Is it convenient for you? Miss you. I have something I want to talk to you about." I followed Shun Jingchu out of the door and walked to the fence outside. I said impatiently, "Okay, what do you want to say this time?" Shun Jingchu put his hands on the fence. Unlike last time, this time there was no aggressiveness in his eyes. "I heard that you were promoted to a professional title." "Congratulations." I let out an sound and answered him expressionlessly. "Thank you." Seeing my cold attitude, he twitched the corners of his mouth. "The job of education is indeed more suitable for you." I didn't want to talk about such meaningless nonsense with him, so I directly told him to leave. "If there's nothing else, I'll leave first." After saying that, I turned around and was about to leave. Suddenly, his sincere voice came from behind me. "I'm sorry." I stopped in my tracks and turned around, looking at him in surprise. Shun Jingchu lowered his eyes. "I'm sorry for you, Nian Nian. You." His eyes were clean and bright at this moment, filled with nothing but sincerity, just like the 18-year-old him. My expression was a bit complicated, and I asked him uncertainly, "Do you remember everything?" "Yeah, I remember." He walked to my side and carefully took hold of my arm with both hands. "The things I've done all these years must have made you very disappointed, right?" His voice was cautious, even with a hint of self-blame. "I'm sorry, Nian Nian. I let you down." I calmly withdrew my hand from his and twitched the corners of my mouth to force a smile. "It's okay, it's all in the past. There's no need to mention it anymore. Besides, I'm doing fine now." Shun Jingchu pursed his lips. I asked him, "Is there anything else?" He looked at me cautiously and then shook his head. My heart suddenly clenched. Now he was exactly the same as the 18-year-old Shun Jingchu, and my tone also softened involuntarily. "Then I'll go back to work first." Shun Jingchu nodded gently. He stood behind me and his eyes followed me until my back disappeared from his sight. Shun Jingchu didn't come to find me for a long time. I let out a sigh of relief in my heart. This was also good. The former Shun Jingchu had hurt me countless times, but now that he had become like this, I really couldn't say anything harsh. At present, the best way was indeed not to meet each other. Since I was promoted to a professional title, my workload had become heavier and heavier. I worked overtime and stayed up late every day. Finally, on a certain working day, I was successfully exhausted and was honored with a short vacation. Okay, we will do the things you entrusted us with on time. You should pay attention to rest these 2 days. We'll go and get busy now. I hung up the phone, threw the phone on the bedside table, and tossed and turned in bed but couldn't fall asleep. Suddenly, the doorbell rang abruptly and kept ringing several times. Only then did I drag my tired body up and go to open the door impatiently. Who is it? As soon as I opened the door, I saw Shin Jingchu standing in front of me, carrying a large pile of medicine and various tonics in his hands. I heard that you were ill, so I came to see you. My body was extremely tired, and I didn't have the energy to ask him where he got the news. I turned my head and threw out a sentence. Come in. He gently closed the door behind him, then placed the medicine and tonics on the table, occupying most of the table. This is for treating a cold, this is for supplementing nutrition, and this is, as Shin Jingchu babbled on, he took out a whole hen from his pocket. This is for making soup to nourish your body, and I also brought mushrooms. Looking at his well-prepared setup, I waved my hand feebly. Thanks, but I have no appetite right now. I'm going to lie down for a while. After saying that, I went back into the room and got under the covers. Only then did my nerves relax. My head was dizzy. Shin Jingchu seemed to be sitting beside me and fed me a pill. I swallowed it and fell asleep, not knowing how long I slept. When I opened my eyes again, Shin Jingchu was still sitting beside me, having moved a stool over. When he saw that I was awake, he opened his mouth and spoke in a hoarse voice. You're awake. Do you feel better? I nodded and asked him, how long did I sleep? Not long. I raised my eyebrows and looked at him. Have you been sitting beside me all this time? His Adam's apple moved, and he let out an sound. Do you have an appetite now? My soup should be almost ready. The moment our eyes met, the words of refusal got stuck in my throat. I propped myself up with my palm and got up. Then I'll have a taste. Shin Jingchu was very happy. He cheerfully served me a bowl of soup and then sat opposite me, watching with delight as I took one sip after another of the soup he had made. Is it good? I nodded, and the smile in his eyes grew even wider. After seeing me finish the soup, he picked up my bowl again. I'll get you another bowl of soup. Just then, Shin Jingchu's phone rang abruptly. I took the bowl from his hand. I don't want any more soup. You should answer the phone first. Shin Jingchu answered the phone. Before he could turn down the volume, I clearly heard the voice on the other end of the line. Brother Shin, Jiu Yuan is drunk in the bar now and insists on asking you to pick her up. How about you? No way. Shin Jingchu didn't hesitate for a moment and firmly refused. I'm busy right now. You guys find a few more people to carry her back. After saying that, he hung up the phone without any hesitation. When he saw me looking at him, he immediately explained. There's really nothing between me and Jiu Yuan. I was just... Shin Jingchu's voice trailed off. He knew in his heart that he had never liked Jiu Yuan, but he also didn't understand why he had treated Jiu Yuan so well before and even done such excessive things to Nian. Shin Jingchu carefully observed my expression. When he saw that I didn't show any strange reaction, he finally let out a sigh of relief. What else would you like to eat? I'll make it for you. I shook my head. No need. Thank you for your hard work today. It's getting late. You can go now. My tone of driving him away was merciless. Shin Jingchu pursed his lips and looked at me with a hint of reluctance. Nian, do you really want to drive me away? I looked at him in silence. He looked at me intently and suddenly grabbed my hand with his palm. Nian, won't you give me another chance? I swear, this time, I will definitely treat you well. As he spoke, he raised his fingers and swore to the sky. I looked at him, my thoughts feeling a bit adrift. The current Shin Jingchu was being too nice to me. So nice that it gave me an unnatural sense of strangeness. He hadn't been this good to me for a very, very long time. I looked at Shin Jingchu in front of me. His face gradually overlapped with that of the 18-year-old Shin Jingchu, and it suddenly made me recall the Shin Jingchu who had coldly pushed me away and gone to find Jiu Yuan. The fragmented memories shuttled through my mind again. I looked at him in a trance. Who on earth are you? He was taken aback for a moment, and then he raised the corners of his mouth and smiled. I'm Shin Jingchu. That's right. He was Shin Jingchu. Whether it was the 30-year-old him or the 18-year-old him, they were all him. He raised my hand and placed it on his chest, looking at me affectionately. So, will you give me another chance? Those eyes were sincere and full of sincerity. I looked at him and said softly, sorry, I can't. The smile on Shin Jingchu's lips froze. Why, am I not treating you well enough? Tell me, and I will definitely change. I pulled my hand out of his embrace and gently pushed him away. It's not that. His eyes were fixed on me. Then what is it? I hooked the corners of my mouth self-deprecatingly, because even if we start over, it will just be the same old story repeating itself. In fact, what you love is only the excellent Nyen Nyen, not the Nyen Nyen who became a housewife. The 17-year-old Nyen Nyen was timid but had excellent grades. The excellent Nyen Nyen would make you fall in love with her, and the excellent Jiu Yuan would also catch your attention. Shen Jingchu, in fact, you're not as affectionate as you think you are. Shen Jingchu was taken aback for a moment and then immediately retorted, impossible, I love you very much. As if recalling something, his voice suddenly trailed off. I lowered my eyes and took 2 steps back. Even if we start over, the result will be the same. There's no need for it, Shen Jingchu. I can live a good life on my own. He looked at me and then slowly lowered his eyes. This is your answer to me, right? I let out an sound. He gave a bitter smile. Okay. I understand. He turned around and left. The moment he stepped out of the door, he suddenly turned back. This time you rejected me, so I won't apologize. Nyen Nyen, I wish you happiness. Looking at his departing back, I replied softly, the same to you, Shen Jingchu. After recovering from my illness, I immediately threw myself into my work with all my heart. With my persistent efforts, my social status became higher and higher, and my salary also soared. Later on, I even sponsored several female students, helping them return to school. At work, there were still many people pursuing me. I chose a younger man who was 3 years younger than me, and his appearance really pleased me. But this time, I no longer focused on love. Instead,